Hello everybody! Today I will be showing you how to build a blog using Astro. So yeah, stick around to learn. Okay, so this is the blog that I created a month ago using Astro 4 when it just came out. It came out on December 5th. And time and time again, I'm always very surprised on just how easy creating websites using Astro really is. So today I thought I would take you through the entire process of creating something similar to this. So we will have a main page where you can click on blog posts, read the posts, and we will also have an about page. We will also have an RSS feed. And yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, let's just get started. So I've written some notes and we'll just go through these one by one and check everything off. So first off, create a new project. Now, to do this, we will open the terminal and run the setup wizard. And that is very easy. So for this tutorial, I will be using PNPM, which stands for Performant NPM. So if you don't have that installed, you should get that and then you can follow along. So we run PNPM create Astro at latest, and that will run the installation wizard for us. So this is very easy. Then we have this nice interactive Houston thingy that's going to ask us some questions. So first, where should we create your new project? I'll just put it in a folder called blog. Then I'll actually select use the blog template, as this gives us a bunch of nice stuff straight out of the box. So we'll choose that template. We will install the dependencies required. We will also be using TypeScript, and we will select strict for the rules here. And then it will ask us if we want to initialize a new Git repository. I'll also say yes here. And that's that. So the project is now set up. And as we can see here, we can move into the blog using change directory. Then we can run pnpm dev to start. Okay, so I'll open this up in VS Code and take it from there. So with the project open, I hope you can see this, I will run pnpm dev and we'll open the browser. And as you can see, this blog template already has a lot of stuff implemented for us. So if we click around, we can see that it already renders some posts. It shows post content, and there is a header. There are some components lying around. And yeah, we will be modifying all of this very soon. And also you will maybe notice this thingy at the bottom, which is new for Astro 4. It is, I think they call it the dev toolbar or something, and you can use it to do stuff like audit checks. And yeah, I think it probably is pretty cool, but we won't be using it today. And I personally find it kind of annoying that it like pops up all the time. So I will run this Astro preferences disable dev toolbar in my terminal. And that doesn't work, so maybe I'll have to run pnpm first. And yeah, dev toolbar is now disabled. So if I now rerun the blog, you can see that the toolbar is hidden. So that's that. So if we go to my notes, we have created a new project, and we will then add Tailwind. Yes. So Tailwind Astro. I'll just Google that, find the Astro docs, and see that there is a quick installation, which is great. And that is done using pnpm Astro add Tailwind. So back in VS Code, I will stop the development server. I will run this command, and I think we are going to be prompted with a couple of stuff. Yeah. Do you want to add these two dependencies? Say yes. Do we want to auto-generate a Tailwind config file? We'll say yes to that as well. And do we want to add these changes to our Astro config file? We'll also say yes. So what this has done is that in our package.json, you can see that under dependencies, Tailwind CSS has been added, as well as Astro.js Tailwind. And in our Astro config file, the Tailwind integration has already been added for us. So if I now run pnpm dev again to start up our server, go to an example file, let's open the index page under source pages index, and let's say we want to add some Tailwind styling to this heading here, which now says hello astronaut. I can say that this text should be blue, so text blue 700, and save, and boom, you see that our Tailwind styling is now working. So that is great. We have now added Tailwind. Next up, we will remove the boilerplate code. So as of right now, like we saw, the blog has a lot of features, but we will want to strip this down and try to get it more clean, like the example website we are trying to recreate. So let's start at the first component, base head. Now this component is going to add a lot of meta information in our HTML head element, and actually this is pretty nicely done, so we won't have to change anything here. Now for the footer, how does it look right now? It's kind of a big footer with some stuff. We can actually remove some stuff from here. So sorry, I'm experimenting with the zoom level. I just hope you can see it. Maybe I can hide the terminal actually. Okay, so first of all, I'll remove the style as we will be restyling this using Tailwind. Then I'm going to remove all the SVGs inside all of the links because I don't want the icons to be showing actually. So I'll remove this SVG, this one, oops. This one, save that. Okay, so now with all of the SVGs removed, our footer looks pretty bare bones, but we'll be changing this later. Then we will check out the other components. We can remove the style from the header component as well, as we will be using Tailwind styling. That is removed. Header link also has some style. We will remove that. Then for content, now this is where all of our blog posts are going to live. And they are added using markdown posts. So we won't have to be changing any of this now. It's nice that we have some sample content, but yeah, once the blog is set up, we will write our own stuff, but that you will have to do yourself. Then we have our blog post layout. This also has some inline styling, which we will be removing. Okay, that's that. Then inside pages, we have the blog slug page. What's going on here? Now this is the page that's going to render every time you enter a specific blog post. Let's say this one, blog/markdown style guide. Now, as you can see, the path name for this post is blog and then the name, but I actually prefer it just being straight to the name. I don't need the blog directory first. So what I want to do is actually move this component one directory up inside of pages. I'll say okay for the auto imports. Is this going to break everything? I hope not. So where it previously was blog markdown style guide, it should now just be markdown style guide. And yep, that worked. So stuff looks a bit broken now, but just hold on and it will soon all make a lot of sense. Now with that, we also had our blog page, which is where all of our blog posts are rendered. And actually, I don't really want the index page where just some general information are. I'm looking to show all blog posts on the first page. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is actually pull out this one as well to one directory over. And what we can see here is that there is already an index.astro file, but like I said, I don't want the default page, so I will actually replace it. And then, do I want to make refactoring changes? Yes, so all of the imports are automatically updated. And with that, we are left with an empty blog directory, which we can now delete as we do not need it. And then inside of index.astro, while we're here, we can also remove all of the styling from the head element. Okay, so that's that. We have now removed a bunch of stuff. Last thing I want to check. Okay, this is the global styling. Do we need all of this? Nope, we don't at all actually. So I'll also remove all of this for now. And save, and boom, our blog now looks very minimal, which is great because it now acts like a blank canvas that we can do stuff on. Okay, so now we have removed all boilerplate code and we are left with styling components and styling layouts. So I think we will just do this one component at a time, starting with the footer. So our footer looks like this, your name here, all rights reserved. I mean, I guess it's great. We want it to look like this. So how do we do that? Okay, first we of course open the footer component. It's inside source components footer. Now inside of here, we don't need the SR only spans. We can instead write whatever links. Let's say we have, maybe we have an Instagram we want to link, or we have also the RSS feed, which actually works by default on this Astro blog. You can check out that stuff here. Anyways, we will have the copy note, that's good. Also it gets the current year. Then we will write our name, which in my case is Isak Solheim. All rights reserved. Don't really need this. I'll remove it. I'll hit save. And let's see how it looks now. It now renders my name and then 2 links, which is good, but we have to do some styling. So this is where Tailwind comes in. So I'll give it a class name. I really like positioning stuff using flex, so I'll use that. Flex, and then we'll actually have to think a bit on how this looks on mobile. I think this won't really be a problem for mobile. So, okay, let's do flex and make it flex row. So it is on a row like this. That's good. Then we want it to justify on each side. So to do that, I do justify between, I think. And yeah, we can see now that the links are on the side. Then we will give it a smaller font size like this, which is good. We will give it some margin in both top and bottom. So in the Y direction, I'll give it a margin of 16 in both of those directions. And where is it? Here it is. Okay, it's at the bottom and it's actually looking pretty nice. So as long as the outer container is not too big, it's going to just fill it like this. So let's try to see where the outer container of the footer lies. Footer, I'll see where it is used. It is used in blog post, okay. And just put at the end, and we can see that here it's from the body. Yeah, so from this body, I actually want to set a max width, as all of the content inside of the body should conform to this width. So what I like to do is the max width prose, which sets it to, a max width of 65 characters, which is really good for reading. And what are we going to do on this blog? We are going to be reading stuff. So I set that max width. Okay, this is actually on the blog post component, which is going to look like this. We can see that it's now a better size, and we also want to make sure that all of the content is put at the center. So I'll use margin auto. This looks very nice. And then I'll also add some X padding to make it look better on mobile devices. So if I scroll it down like this, we can see that there are some padding on the sides, which is really good. So yeah, I think that covers that for the footer component. So next up we have the header component. Okay, so how does it currently look? We have our great footer. Oh, and yeah, I added this to the blog post.astro page body, but actually there is going to be a body inside index as well. So right here, I'm adding it, and you might be thinking, shouldn't this be created in some sort of layout component? You know what, maybe it should, but as of right now, we'll just leave that be. And this auto formatting was annoying, but now it's good. Okay, so footer is done. Next, header. So how does this header look? It has a name, a couple of links, some social icons, but what I want it to be is an image, a name, some text, and some links. Okay, shouldn't be too hard. So in our in VS Code, we will go to the header component and start modifying stuff from here. So actually, since our header differs so much from the default one, we might be best off deleting everything, especially the social links. I don't want those, so I'll delete those. Internal links, those are good. We don't need a blog link anymore, as you are by default on the blog page. And for me, I like keeping this as lowercase. And yeah, the site title, you can see, is declared in our cons.ts file. So from here, you know what, Astroblog is not a bad name. And site description, welcome to my website, also sounds pretty good. So we start by adding our image. And by default, the blog template adds some images in our public folder, so we can maybe use one of these. Let's say, this one was very good. Blog placeholder 4.jpg. So I'll first wrap it in an A tag to make it clickable. And where should we go after clicking it? We'll just be taken home. Then I'll add an image, give it a class name with an equal width and height, I think. This is square, yeah, this is square, right? And for the source, since it's in our public folder, we can just give it root and the name of the image, which is blog placeholder for .jpg. Then we'll give it some alt, and we can give it, what is it? Some textures. Save that, and boom, we have this nice little thingy. Then we will try to position our image and our links, and before that we'll actually modify this a bit. So we have our image, our links, but we want to add our top section here as well. So the way I think about this when I see something like this is again in the flex, is again using flex view. So I feel like this is the entire view, and it's composed of two flex things in a row, this one, and this is again another flex view in a column direction with this one and this one. So we'll have to create another div outside of this div like this, and then we can add, we can maybe copy this, or you know what, we can just create a new div. This is what we call div hell, maybe not best practice, but you know what, fuck it. We will add an h2 element with a link inside and call this, did we have the site title? Yeah, it's imported online too. We'll add a paragraph, a blog about whatever. That's a good description, right? I'll save this and see that our header now has all of the content I'm looking for, but we still need to position it. So in the outer element on this nav right here, I'll give the class name of flex. Save that and see that it's getting somewhere. I'll give it some space between the items and maybe some Y margin like this. Looks pretty good. Then in the next portion, so this portion right here, I will add a flex view as well. But in the column direction, and as I want this to be placed, or actually these links to be placed at the bottoms, I'll use the justify between property as well. Like that, the links are now at the bottom and the text is at the top, so that's pretty good. Now for the site title, I guess we can give this a class name with some bigger text and some thicker font maybe, like this. Looks good, right? And then for the paragraph text, we will tone it down a bit. Some gray text, and you know what, like this, I think it looks pretty good. That's pretty similar, right? Yeah, this is basically, yeah, this looks just like I wanted. Okay, so next up we have header link, because now, yeah, the header is done. So we can see that the header link component is already from the blog template, and we'll just update the styling a bit. So how do we want this to look? We want the selected page to be a darker color, and that's basically it. And in this component, you can see that we already have an isActive value that we probably can use. So yeah, here in the class name, we will just modify this line a bit. We will say that if it's active, we will give it a text black, and if not, we will give it a lighter text. So maybe gray 500 like this. And what am I missing? Yeah, I'm missing a bracket here like that, and we can see that it's already working. Very nice. So yeah, that was the header link, and now all of our components are styled. So next up, we only have two things left, and that's style our layouts, which is our index page and our blog post page. So let's do that. So currently on the index page, we have a list of all of the blog posts, which are very good, but I actually don't want the images to be shown, and just more something like this. So the title, some description on the blog post, and then just another link to read the article. So yeah, let's try to create something similar. So if I head over to index.astro inside source pages, we can see there is an unordered list that loops over all of our posts and renders list item. And this is where we want to modify stuff. So to begin with, I'll just remove the image entirely. It's now looking pretty bare bones. So let's do some more styling. We can start off by giving some space between the posts. So I'll add a bottom margin to all of our posts, already looking a lot better. Then we have the link to the blog post, and as of earlier, you might remember that we removed the blog directory where our posts are going to live and put the wildcard file right here. So we'll remove the blog link as well. So now if you click a link, it actually puts us at the correct place. Then to make sure our site is using correct semantics, I'm gonna make sure that our header, okay, there's an H2 in the header, and that means these can actually be H1s, and I'll modify the class name to make it a bit bigger. Text XL, I'll give it some bold font, and also an underline on hover. So when I now hover, it looks very clickable, which is nice. Then we will add the description underneath. So right now there is a date. Do I want to show the date? No, I actually don't. So I'll just remove this in entirety. Then under this link, I will add the description, and I get that through post data description. And as you can see here, since we set this up with Tailwind, we actually have type information on this, so we can see that description does exist on our post. So that is very nice. And yeah, I feel like I'm rushing through this a lot, but if you're interested in seeing how it knows this, you can check out the content and then the config.typescript file. And in here, we actually define what our posts and stuff are going to look like. So this is our post type, and you can see that it has a description that is a string. So yeah, very cool that this is actually set up for us. Okay, so anyway, we render the description. Let's see how that looks. It looks pretty good actually, but we will make it a bit more subtle. Whoops. So inside of the paragraph element, I'll add some more spacing to the bottom, give it a text of maybe 700 gray. Yeah, looks good. Maybe it could be a bit lighter actually. Yeah, like that is good. And then we will add a last more noticeable link to the post. So again, we'll actually just copy this link, I think, and it doesn't have to be an H1, but it has the correct path. And instead of rendering the title, we will say something like, read this article. And do I have the arrow symbol somewhere? I can take this one maybe. That's good. And we'll give it some styling as well. So give it some blue color. And then hover. It should be a bit brighter, like this. And lastly, we'll give it a bit fatter font. So this is how our post link now looks, which I think is pretty good. So when you click on either the read this article or the title, you will be taking directly to the post, which is good. Okay, and actually I think that's how our index page should look. I don't want there to be anything more. So as of now, let's say that this is done. And lastly, let's style the blog post page. To make this easy for ourselves, we are going to use something called Tailwind CSS typography, which, as it says here, are just a bunch of defaults for HTML that you don't control, which is perfect for us because by default, our markdown content is being rendered as HTML. So this H1 is an H1, as you can see here. This H2 is an H2, and so on. And this plugin gives us a bunch of defaults. So how do we add this? We do npm, pnpm in our case, install development Tailwind CSS typography. So in our terminal again, we'll close the development server. We will run pnpm install with this plugin. Then we see that in our Tailwind config file, we will add the Tailwind typography plugin. So we'll open tailwind.config, and inside plugins, we add the typography plugin. And once that is done, we can start up our development server again. In our blog post.astro component, there are some hard-coded stuff like the blog post image and so on. In my case, on my blog, I have removed the image. I don't really want there to be any images. So you know what? As of right now, we can remove the image as well. We'll remove the hero image. And as you can see now, all of our markdown syntax is correctly styled with paragraphs, titles, headings, images, even syntax highlighting, and so on. So yeah, with this in place, I think we are pretty much done. Now, you might ask, okay, how does this actually work? So everything inside something with the class name of pros, which we are kind of lucky that this already had for us, is going to be applied all of the Tailwind styling. So our stuff is rendered here inside this slot, and yeah, so the generated HTML from the markdown is going to be correctly styled. Now, do we want the date and title at the top? I think we do actually. It looks pretty good. And yeah, so let's go back to our document. We can see that our blog post is now styled. And okay, I think that as of right now, we have actually recreated my blog pretty much entirely. You can see that I have added some more sections to this blog, but I really do think that after watching this video, you could probably implement something similar yourself. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. I hope you create your own website, your own blog, start posting some stuff. But yeah, I also hope that you might want to check out the stuff that I'm writing. And if you do, you can either join the newsletter or add the RSS feed to your reader of choice. And other than that, I want to wish you a good rest of the week. Thanks, guys.